Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start trouble. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome once again for round number 2 of the Radical World Series Americas. With me in the commentary booth today will be Dean Biggles, just like last week, and we're going to make a great spectacle of it again, of course, brought to you live on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. And like last week, at the moment, it is Lucas Vieira at the top. We're going to get to that in a bit. Of course, this track in World War I and World War II served as an airfield. Still as bumpy as it was in the old days. Of course, it's Sebring that I'm talking about. 5.79 kilometers long, this circuit. Track temperature out there at the moment, 31 degrees for the drivers, of course. This track situated in the USA. Of course, Sebring. That's why it is called the Sebring International Raceway. Round number 2 of the Radical World Series Americas is hosted on this very bumpy track. Of course, it's corners like Sunset, which is going to be amazing. We will have Sunset this evening, which is going to be interesting. We saw it in the Europes a bit earlier on, yeah, that definitely made for some spectacular pictures. Let's go down to the track and take a look at how everything is shaping up at the moment. Of course, the championship standings too, because last week out was Lucas Vieira, who was quickest after Artur Cordelis was on it for the whole race long, made a mistake. Turn number 3, ran off track himself and lost the lead, and with that, the lead in the championship since it is in round 1. Zandvoort it was last week, an incredible spectacle that was. Different though to this race. We're going to get to that in just a moment's time. Diego Zuccarelli in P3, 2 points behind that. Everyone is basically in increments of 2 points. Stephen Place 4th, Joel Jacqueline in P5, Jason Duckworth 6th, 7th Manuel Sorazano. Then you have Nathan Brumby in 8th, Scott Callaghan in P9, and P10 for Kansas Gentry, P11 for Charles Grassage, P12 for Diego Schneider, 13 for Eric Harmon. That is the championship as it stands right now. See now, out on track, of course. This track we've touched on it, 5.79 kilometers long, and as bumpy as it has always been, and maybe even bumpier than it was before. This, of course, being a track that is, well, constantly evolving, I have to say. This, of course, it is not repeat at all. It's still the old concrete plates that are, well, the drivers will be driving on this evening. As you can see, Vieira at the top, 31 thousandths ahead of Stephen Place. Scott Callaghan about 3.5 tenths behind. Yeah, it's going to be an incredible evening. 90 minutes of racing this evening, not the 30 we had last week. This is an endurance round. With that, tally will come at the end of the race. However, the drivers will first have to get towards the end of the race. Some exciting stuff to talk about throughout this broadcast. Of course, 10 seconds left of practice, Biggles. And so far, well, we're set for an amazing qualifying. Definitely looking at how close the top 2 is.
Qualifying is going to be absolutely key here, for sure, and that's going to be coming up in a millisecond or two because, yeah, down into turn 1 in the European race that we had earlier, once they kind of got away at the start of that race, it became very, very difficult for anybody to kind of chase them down later on. So, in fact, our race leader got a nice about 4 to 5 second gap there. The German driver in the European session earlier, they actually had a whole team, a whole bunch of 1, 2, 3. The podium was full of the same team as well, which is the Beethoven team for there. So, yeah, once again, I'm first in the chat. Hello. Always beating
Of
everybody in the
course,
chat
of
there, Dan.
course.
But
Nobody
another
beat you.
interesting thing, Dan, is that the 2 pit stops that are required, 2 in that time, and what happened in the European race earlier is that they, a lot of the top drivers, the drivers that were in like P1 to 5 or something like that, I think it was at the time, elected to box pretty late actually, and you cannot take your pit stops with 10 minutes to go on the race. So they took them about 15 or so minutes to go of the race, and they went in 1 lap to do a pit stop, which they changed tires. I'm not quite sure about the fuel that they added or not, but we saw them lift up on the jacks. Came back out, and then the next lap they came back in for a quick stop go. Just stop, park it in your box, and then you're on the gas pedal and you're straight back out as soon as possible. That's what the winning situation was earlier today. Now, whether or not these drivers here in the Americas division have watched that back, studied that tape, and kind of figured out, hey, this might be the one that works out for us. A couple of positions were gained for some of the drivers that did box a little bit earlier, and then alternate that strategy up. And then, of course, some of the drivers, unfortunately, had some errors and made some mistakes as well, too, that cost them any chances. You do have a fast repair, so choose it wisely in a endurance race. Once you use it once, the second time around, you're going to hope to see how much duct tape you can put on that car.
For sure, in an endurance race, of course, at the moment, if I count my drivers, we have about 12 drivers here with us this evening, so not the full 13 we had last week. 12 drivers. Now, with this driver count, that is going to make it interesting for an endurance race. There will be more space on track, not as much traffic as there was in the Europe one. As you see, Lucas Vieira now going to the first lap. That might well already be an off track, and at the first possible opportunity where you can get one into turn 1. Lucas Vieira, judging by the way he's pushing, he is still completely on it. Not the best exit out of turn number 4. Definitely could do better, but the exit onto the straight not too bad. It's going to continue. This corner really tricky, slowest corner on the track, going all the way down to second gear. Some drivers prefer to go down to even first gear at that corner to try and get the car rotated, and then short shift back up to second to not let those rear tires light up. Then down into the next right-hander again, down into second gear again. Not the slowest corner on track by any means. You do take a lot of speed through there. Now this next right hand that is coming up, very tricky, turning and braking at the same time. You want to trail brake this corner. This is a corner for the trail breakers, but the trail breakers that are good at it can gain a lot of time. Also a corner that is for some drivers third, for some drivers second gear. Some drivers prefer a different gear than others. This one off camber, tricky right hand, and the left hander is very important. You want to set up as wide as possible because you're going to go onto a very long straight. You get a good exit, because you're going to carry all that speed all the way along this straight into Sunset Corner. Yet now you can see why it is Sunset Corner. During the race, the drivers will have the sun completely in their face. They will be blinded by the sun. This one then, this is a front left tire shredder, just like the Skyvlock we had last week at Zandvoort. Another one here at Sebring, Sunset Corner to complete the lap. Well, Lucas Vieira Zuccarelli has popped in with a 154.505. And across the line for Vieira, it is not going to be a lap, and it is what I was suggested, a off track in turn number 1. He is going to keep it within track limits, the second time of asking Biggles, but that is not how you want to start your qualifying.
No, they'll get a little bit more time to get that done, but not a lot, maybe 3 laps at best. Stephen Place goes up the top there. Stevie is back again for the Team Redline. He was there early in the European one. This actually gives, I think, Stevie a little bit of an advantage scenario there over a lot of the drivers on the grid, because he's already done this today. He's done 90 minutes of this. He's done his practice sessions.
At least either works or doesn't.
Yeah, and he did not too bad as well. So he finished inside the top 10 in the European division. A lot more on the grid that they had there today, as I was saying earlier. So a little bit more competition. They had, like you talked about, some of the drivers in there that did win the race actually were 8K I rating. Now the highest that we have in here tonight is Lucas with a 6.6. So still a lot of competitive drivers, and Lucas once again set that lap because he invalidated. And welcome in the chat there, CJ, saying that you're too slow. You're too slow, mate, because I'm first.
Yeah.
First to finish.
Well,
first to
quick.
finish. Sometimes.
Apart from in a car. In a car, Biggles is terribly slow.
Well, in a
That's why
real
he's in the
car,
booth.
I'm pretty good. In a go-kart, I'm not too bad. But in a virtual sim, no. Slow.
Yeah, but that's because you weigh practically nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I do weigh practically nothing. It helps. Well, that's why you get beaten by 10-year-old kids, don't you, when you go karting? 'Cause they
Well,
zoom past you and you're like, hang on.
We had a karting
Why are you
race.
so quick?
A 1-hour karting race at Circuit Lelystad in the Netherlands. And there was a kid that was about, what, 8?
Diego goes for
8 years
quickest.
old.
Go ahead, look at that, yeah.
Yeah, Vieira was
Smashed him
quickest
by
about
7
6
tenths. Yeah.
Behind that, though, watch out, because Steven places again on a quick 2.5 tenths, though, behind Vieira. Continuing with the story that I was telling, though. He was about 7, 8 years old, weighed practically nothing, about, what, 40 kilograms max? And we were at an average of about 65, 70 in our team. 30 kilograms in a cart. That is so much in a cart that practically weighs half the weight that you have. So half the weight that is in the cart is you. So that weight is very, very important. The car becomes more nimble, turns in better when it's lighter and all that kind of, you know.
And depending on the level of competition on the kart you're doing too, like, you know, if you are, like, everybody's pretty evenly. You can see at the minute, but purple sector set from Diego, purple sector set from Lucas, purple sectors from Steven Place. So this is probably the last opportunity they're going to get to put an absolutely blisteringly quick lap in. But Dan, there's one thing that I can do a little bit better than you, my friend, even in the virtual esports world, is that I know how to enter a pit lane entrance without crashing.
Yes, there we go.
Didn't take long, did it? But there it is.
Did not. Go ahead. If you guys are wondering what Biggles is talking about, I'm going to put myself to a bit of shame here. There's a short on the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. Go to the YouTube channel, press on short, and then click on the short that is called Can't Park There, Sir. And you will see me spin into the Nürburgring pit lane after being in fourth in my first race ever. In my first ever competitive race in the W12.
Who's going to steal this one there, Dan, real quick? There's across the line there. And all these mini sectors, there's 7 sectors here. So,
back to the action.
It's a distribution of sectors across the line here. So this is going to be close. And the Vieira goes up there. So there's Lucas, mate. He finally got the lap in under his belt. Can Stevie try to steal that place away? No, but close. Who else? We got a bit of a fly there from Diego. Schneider, don't forget about him. Setting an early quick pace time. Actually, this is the Argentinian driver here. So, go on, Diego. Get it done. You got Manuel as well on laps. No crazy purples in there, but you don't need all purples because looking at some of these, like Lucas, for example, only had 2 of those purple sectors. But if I guess you have all the best greens on the planet, that may very much to make the difference to get yourself a nice pole position here, which is crucial. I'd say at least front row is going to be very important.
For sure. It's very important here, especially around this track. And Lucas Vieira and Diego Schneider. I got 2 drivers mixed up. But Diego Schneider is going to try and do everything here in his power to try and get Lucas Vieira off that pole position. Has 1 purple sector time. In sector number 3, is it going to be enough, though? No one has really been able, let's be honest, Biggles, to challenge Vieira to that pole position. Is Schneider going to be the one? No, he's not. About a second off. However, Steven Place is purple in sector number 1. Lucas Vieira is green in sector number 1. Yellow sectors all across the board, though, for Steven Place. It looks like he's going slow at the moment, not pushing anymore. So I don't think Steven Place is going to improve to a better time. Arthur Cordelis, though, of course, the man who was first for a long, long while last time out at Zandvoort. He is in 4th at the moment. Archie Cordelis, where is he going to put himself? He has green sectors all across the board. Only 4 drivers out on track at the moment. Archie Cordelis in 4th is going to come across the line. Lucas Vieira also did come across the line. Did he improve in his lap time? He did not. He was about 2 seconds on top of his lap time or above his lap time. Archie Cordelis across the line. And he jumped himself up to P3.
That's not a bad place to be.
Vieira for pole position, Biggles, though.
That's it. Yeah.
Everyone's so far off.
And Scotty, the Aussie didn't set a time here. So Scott G. Callahan does not. I'm going to get my. Anyway, you'd like to go through those qualifying results for a sec, please, Dan.
And Lucas Vieira is going to be the one on pole position. Here we have Lucas Vieira, here he is. And Stephen Place is going to be in second. Archie Cordelis in third. Diego Zuccarelli in fourth. Eric Harman in fifth. Richard Horn in sixth. Diego Schneider seventh. Joel Jacqueline in eighth. Manuel Solorzano in ninth. Charles Krosic in 10th. Rich Price in 11th. And 12th, Scott Callaghan. Only 12 drivers on the grid here this evening with us. However, though, even with only 12 drivers, I'm sure it's going to be a spectacle on track. Welcome all along once again for round number 2 of the Radical World Series. And once again, Biggles, I'm excited to get this one underway. Lucas Vieira, always quick. Stephen Place, always quick. And well, we're going to see what is going to bring these two drivers. We're about, what, 31 thousandths, if I remember correctly, apart after qualifying. Let's see what the drivers can bring for the race. The drivers are almost done gridding up. We're waiting for no one at the moment. Everyone's on the grid. You can see the red lights coming on. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're green in the background. I think it's Price with a very good start. Is already overtaken about 4 or 5 people at the front though. Lucas Vieira got a very good start on the inside, already covering that. Archie Cordelis is already up in position 2 for Eric Harman. But Stephen Place from second position off the start. Not too good from his starting spot. And he's already dropped about 2 positions at the start there. He's going to look to regain that back in the remainder of this. Is a little bit further back. Richard Horn also dropping down. Manuel Solorzano is the only one who's gone round.
There's your accident. Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
We did not see that today in the European division, Dan. Only one person, I believe, had a little bit of a spin. Believe it or not, out of a grid of almost 30-plus drivers. So, yeah, it's got a little bit pearl-shaped. Scotty was the one that got that fantastic launch. Now, I'm not quite sure if that was even a drive-through penalty, but he had gained 4 places. He's currently gaining 4 positions at the moment for the 606 machine, the Australian driver. Got a launch of all launches off there. Not a launch like Max Verstappen did in Australia on the first start of the race. But if that's spoiler alert if you haven't seen the Australian GP. But yeah, what happened to that accident, Dan? That's something we have to check out.
Well, we're going to take a look back at the green flag. First of all, take a look with the chopper cam. Look at this start from
That's what I said. Look
Scott
at that.
Callaghan.
It's insane.
And then let's take a look with Garcic. He was airborne. I'm getting through in chat. Of course, CJ, thank you for giving us that information in chat. We're going to take a look when he gets airborne. So sad, though, if he gets airborne for that beautiful...
No, there's a car that spins around and he goes plowing into the T-bone. More T-bone than airborne, I'd say. But have a look, because somebody goes around here and the Hot Wheels car has nowhere to go and goes into this there. Boom.
Oh yeah. For a little second, he was airborne. It sounded worse than it actually was. However, he's going to spin it again. No, he's not. Just a half spin for him, and he gets underway again. Diego Schneider, though, behind that, had a little bit more trouble getting underway. Back to live pictures then.
So Scotty's gone in. Scotty's gone in. I wouldn't be surprised some of the drivers don't go in because they will have a fast repair. So, granted, depending on how much damage is done to these cars, sometimes they're pretty tough. Other times you can scrub a lot of time. Remember, you got 90 minutes of a race to go, so you don't want to be nursing that much damage and be at least 2, 3, 4 seconds a lap slower than the leaders are at this point. Otherwise, you're definitely going to be almost like the endurance race that we had on Saturday. Wouldn't it be down like it might be like 9, 10 laps down by the end of the segment?
For those who haven't seen it, the Platinum Endurance Championship. 6 hours of Road America that was. Go back and have a look at it on the JP Broadcasting channel. A beautiful race that was. Back to the action on track. Charles Krosic is going to try and get past Schneider. Schneider has got past because if you remember in that replay, Schneider was behind. Krosic, these two are now going to try and get forward together. But if you look on the left-hand side, you can see
it's a bit dinged up.
A lot of the gaps already above a second.
The Hot Wheels machine's a bit dinged up in the front there, you can see as well. And yeah, you can't miss that Argentina livery too as well. So that's Diego Schneider, as you see. That's like covered in a Argentinian flag. So he's very proud of his nationality. Why not? Of course, Argentina won the World Cup. Anyway, back to the action on the track at the moment. You're talking about this. You will see this sun blinding your eyes a little bit later on, Dan. That's probably in about an hour, give or take, is when it reaches its peak, and then you'll get a little bit into the nighttime that those headlights, you hope that they are working on the cars. We're on board right now with Stevie, who's just lost the 2 places at the moment too, mate. P4, go ahead.
I was talking to Biggles in the green room, everyone. And I said to Biggles, or Biggles said to me, Sunset Corner, it's actually so cool. Because the sun goes down there, and like drivers has the sun fully in their face. And I said to Biggles, what do you think it's called Sunset Corner? And Biggles was like, I don't know. And I said, it's because the sun goes down there at that point of the track. Always.
Yeah, all right. Well, what about Albert Park? You got center and cross corner names. That's a little bit too deep on that one. Stevie's gonna have to back off because, of course, you got to swing it straight through. That's the slowest corner you mentioned there before, under the heavy brakes. Yeah, but you got center and cross corners. So does that mean you're gonna meet center and Prost if you're gonna reach into those corners? I know what you mean.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh, again, he's made a mistake twice, and that'll be easy peasy there for Stevie to take that one. In fact, Eric's going to drop to Richard Hearn there and Diego. So, and maybe another driver at the moment, Joel, is going to get that car back up in there. The good thing you have to say, I would be positively telling as an engineer to say, okay, Eric Harmon, mate, you made a mistake, but you got 1 hour and 24 minutes to make up for it. So don't worry about it yet. Not over yet. Just don't do it in the last lap, please. That's all I'd be telling my drivers.
These are mistakes that you don't really want to make. Let's take a look back at what happened to Eric Harmon. I think we saw it a bit earlier on too. But if we take a look, he just goes wide, just brakes too late. It seems like Biggles.
Yeah, and mate, this is deja vu because I've seen this about 5 to 6 times at least earlier in the European division, like the European version of this series for Radical. So you can check that one back if you want to kind of see the future, perhaps, of what drivers will be happening to them. Although the big difference, of course, as I said, I didn't see that much of a pile-up smash per se in the first lap on that one. But Joel's gone in. Now, we don't know once again if they're going to use their fast repairs. The car looks okay. Seems like a very early pit stop there too, Dan.
Yeah, I don't know why he would be doing that this early on in the race. Maybe it's like you said, the fast repair that he's going to take. He is saying, Joel Jacqueline, that his car just does not have the pace that usually he's doing. He thinks it's better to
CJ thinks it's a penalty, maybe. Is he taking on tyres? It looks like the front end's lifted up. Yep, the front end will lift up and the rear end will lift up.
Joel
if you're going to take.
Was not the one who had that monster start, wasn't it? It was Scott Galligan who had that monster start, was it not?
It was the Australian driver, yes, Scotty, who's running plump last, but that's because he's taking a pit stop. So I think that was Scotty involved in that accident because.
No, was that a potential penalty for Scott Galligan?
Oh yeah, you could be right because the way he jumped off that line, that could have been a jump start. That was, remember how quick he was off that. To me, it looked like when I saw him scooting through there, I thought that's got to be a jump start. You can probably go back and have a look at that start because Scotty's here.
Oh, right, that and look at that. Looks like one.
Yeah, it's close, isn't it? I mean, to get that much speed like that, as much as I'm an Australian and I say, good on you, mate, you got that done, that's brilliant. But if he's gone back into pit road after that, to me, that seems like that might very well be a penalty for a jump start.
Well,
does he get damage? Does he get damage here or not? This is another key factor because that's the reason why going into pit road too. Yeah, no, there's a little contact, but not a lot.
Too much damage. Yeah.
Oh no, there, that one could be the one. Huh, we don't know, but Scotty knows.
Well, I heard a famous race driver once say that if you react within 1.5 tenths. So 0.150 of a second, that you're basically either preempting when the starting lights go out, so you're either guessing and just releasing the clutch, and you're the luckiest man alive, or you have inhuman reaction speeds. So yeah, back to the battle on track though. But Schneider is going to try and have a go on Rich Price, Biggles.
Well, look at Rich Price's rear end, mate. He's had some contact somewhere along the line there, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Now, I saw this too once again on the European, so I would let him through. It's a difficult thing to do as a race driver, but I'll tell you what, Well, I did see a rear wing damage on the driver earlier today in the European one. It's easy to sit behind the car and just tag with him because they kept with the pace. They kept with the pace with that rear wing damage. It's not good, obviously, if you're in clear air, but if you're in dirty air...
Is the rear wing the only thing that's damaged on the car?
Yeah, we don't know that as well.
Front, the left front also doesn't look great anymore.
We'll see how much that Snyder can drop him, essentially, or if he keep with him. Steve Price, we're talking about. Rich Price, I'm sorry. There's two prices in here. But there's only one price in here. But Rich, just because I looked at the Canadian flag and I see...
Look at the left front.
Yeah, he's now dropped, so about a second and change. He's not going to be able to keep up the pace on this one. But I think at some point you're going to be sitting there going, okay, well, is my lap time okay to hang out this for a little bit and not having to pit early and use my fast repair and also having to either change tires or fuel's definitely not going to go all the way. Yeah, 2 pit stops anyway, remember, so you might want to perhaps look at using one soon, depending on your pace, and then the next one later on.
Well, Biggles, look at the left front of Rich Price. That mirror on the left-hand side is basically pointing upwards to the sky, so that's not going to be really useful for Rich Price.
Yeah, it's boxing. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, I would kind of like that one because that way, if you get into a collision with another driver later on, you can just basically say, "Well, I'm sorry, I couldn't see you because my mirror's all bent."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's good. It's a good excuse,
then
right?
The question is, do you want to get into a collision with another driver?
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
No.
See, so.
But you do have a get out of jail free card if you do, right?
And there we go. It popped out. He's used his fast repair.
Yeah, that's a fast repair.
Yeah, that's a beautiful.
And no tires, but no tires or fuel. That was too quick. That was just a fast repair in and out. Have a look how quickly there. Richard Hearn has caught up to the back there of Arturas. Did I get that one right?
Arturas Kundelis.
Kundelis.
Yeah. Doing
hey,
well.
Your neck of the woods, man. You're in Europe. That's your job to know those names.
Well, I mean, I don't live in every country, Biggles. I'm Dutch. I know Belgium and German names pretty well. Belgium, German, well, Austrian names are basically the same as German, so that's not really difficult either. But then Italian, try and print. Oh, where's Hearn going? Oh, there he is.
Italian's easy, mate. The Greek names are the hardest to pronounce.
Yeah, it kind of does sound Greekish, doesn't it? Arturos.
It's not Greek. This is not Greek whatsoever, my friend. Sorry. No, not at all. That's definitely Central European. The flag that he's under, which is I think it's Lithuania. I'm gonna have to look that flag up for sure. Just to let everybody out. Maybe you'll know that CJ out there. So it's a horizontal striped flag, you know, similar to a lot of the other European flags. So it's yellow, green, and red. So maybe you'll know that one, CJ.
Oh, a little bit of a snap though for Richard Hearn. He's going to miss the wall. He is not, and he gets collected by the wall, gets spin round. And that was an unforced error, really.
Yeah, I blame the wall, Richard. That came out and hit you, mate. You had cleared it. It reached out and said, "I want a bit of Richard." Richard said, "I don't want anything to do with you." I'm filing for divorce right now. Unfortunately, the wall still wants to keep that relationship going. Look at that sun. I was telling you about that. Maybe coming up a little bit early then, Dan, than what I thought it would be at all. And lining those drivers into some of those corners, especially if they're in VR too. I've heard drivers telling me, "Hey, Biggles, like in VR, man, that is blinding sometimes, depending on the graphic settings."
Yeah. Well, I've had a chat to some drivers that do use VR, and they say that especially the sun. Sometimes on Daytona too, during the Daytona 24 hours, I was driving the driver using VR. He couldn't drive during the stints where the sun either came up or went down. But during sunset and sunrise, the driver that was using VR couldn't drive because it was just, he was blinded. And the thing that
it's a song, isn't it?
Drivers do, Biggles,
yeah, go ahead.
Is they put a tinted visor in, which will help a lot with that. But
correct.
iRacing hasn't given us that opportunity yet to do that.
Yes, they have.
Do they?
Yeah, if you hit the gyro camera right now on Richard.
Yeah,
there you go. That's a tinted visor, my friend.
Yeah, but it doesn't give you a tinted view.
Yeah, true. I saw that actually. Yeah, I saw some of the drivers actually today that won in the European. They had a clear visor, but I understand what you mean from a driver's perspective. You could see the tear-off strips is there. Thank you very much for that one there, CJ. He has confirmed. I was right. So yellow, green, and red on the flag is Lithuania, and that's what I suspected. And of course, we have the mastermind, the walking Wikipedia of racing knowledge in the chat. So loving having you here, CJ. Especially when I'm right.
Well, the flag that I can see, Biggles, is literally the European flag for Arturus Cordalis.
Oh, but my special software that I have there, my friend, it's giving me the other flag.
Oh, there we go.
But still in Central Europe, so it's correct.
Yeah. That helmet.
Hey,
which team is it inspired by? Because I know.
Yeah, weren't you racing in the green and gold machine as well, which got me because this is very Australian-esque as well too. Australians like green and gold, but is it your team? Your team had that livery, don't they?
No, it is a German team. It is a real-life German team, and the owner, the first name of the owner is Olaf.
Well, I don't know. That CJ will know, but I don't.
CJ, I'm gonna leave it to you here. Take a good look at the helmet, and can you tell me which car design this is inspired from? Go ahead. Of course, let me know in chat. If you don't know, also let me know, and I'll reveal the answer to you, because I do know. It's a team that I've been a fan of for a long time. They take part in almost every race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Oh, that's very wide. Coming out of Sunset Corner though for Arturus Cordalis. Almost ran into the wall for a second. I thought he's going to run wide onto the bump. But luckily for Arturus Cordalis.
That's right. There is a bit of a bump on that near that wall there. I didn't see too many people bin it too much, thankfully, out of that final corner during the European. But it's a different race, different time zone at the moment, racing. But at the same time on track, as Lucas is comfortably at the moment in P1. As you can see, that sun, it's going to start getting closer and closer soon. But right now, it's not too much of an issue. Another thing I wanted to mention, and the answer is out there in the chat, but I mentioned Dan, and you can mention that first because I lost what I wanted to talk about.
Well, he is completely correct. Olaf Mantai, owner of the Mantai Racing team, and they race in a Porsche. And I've been a long time fan of them. Of course, at the Nürburgring 24 hours, they always take part in that one. Never really. He's really a Nürburgring Nordschleife specialist, really, with that car. So is Frickadelli Racing, also usually there during the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. Those are teams that take part in the VRN series on the Nürburgring and do the Nürburgring Endurance too. Plus, of course, the biggest race of the Nürburgring Nordschleife of the year, the 24 hours. So yeah, good one there from CJ, our walking Wikipedia. He really does know everything, doesn't he?
Okay, yeah, man. Nothing gets past CJ. Like, we wanted to start picking his brain a little bit more. It's too easy for him, these questions. I kind of guessed something on that because I saw the Porsche on the visor, the top of the visor there, the logo, the name of Porsche across there. So it kind of got something on that line because he's not driving a Porsche, of course, at the moment. As the Lucas goes a little bit quicker, this is surprising too there, Dan, that the track does get better and better and better because there were some of the fastest laps traded in the European Radical Series earlier today that were late into the race. And on top of it too, that I was even very impressed with, some very close battles. Dan, after 90 minutes and change of a race, and you got people separated by milliseconds. In fact, there was two drivers, and maybe Stephen Place could tell you about that one currently running in P2. There was across the line, side by side, car by car, drag, and it was separated by just thousands of seconds. So after 90 minutes, it comes down to that. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's all. I always say, imagine that in Formula 1. We saw Max Verstappen again this weekend run away to about 10, 11 seconds. Then the legendary driver he is, he spins to give the other drivers a chance too, and he still finishes 8 seconds ahead of the field. So yeah.
But you know why Max is a world champion, Dan, and you're not?
Yes,
Because
I do know that.
Because he doesn't crash into the pit lane entry.
Oh, don't say that too early. We have seen drivers crash into the pit lane.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton
It happens
has as
to the
well.
best.
You people have.
I can remember a young Lewis Hamilton, I think in his early years when he first joined McLaren in China, driving into the pit lane on tyres that were completely shredded and completely missing the pit lane entry, driving into
Do you remember? Do you remember when he pulled into a pit box, the wrong pit box, when he changed teams, the year after?
Oh, so many drivers.
He drove straight into one of the other teams, and they're like, "Hang on, you're not supposed to be here." Waved him through, of course, and then he went into the correct team pit box. And that, I mean, you gotta remember that, does it? Because especially if you spend so many years in a team, it's like motor memory, isn't it? Muscle memory. You just go, okay, bang, and then all of a sudden you're like, That's why now more emphasis that you see the guys that come out with the signs, like almost like the lollipop man, going here, in here. Okay, just to remind you, this is your pit box, which is a clever thing because teams do realize, hey, you're so focusing on one thing. And you got to remember, too, these drivers are not just necessarily looking at that person when they're going down the pit road. They're also touching and changing all the numbers and settings on their steering wheel at the same time.
They're so busy.
Yeah, that's one of the busiest part of a race driver is actually during the pit stops because of that time to adjust everything. And then, of course, they hit in their pit box and then bang, they focus on... deeper, right?
He's going to give Harman a chance to get all up the back of him. He's going to get a chance into turn number 7, where he's going to have a look to the inside. The inside is blocked, though, by Zuccarelli. He's not going to go for this Harman. Brakes late, though. It's too late. When you get this close to a car in front, especially with cars that use a little bit of downforce, Biggles, I'm always scared that you lose all downforce on the front, that you just get a vacuum on the front of your car, like we have with NASCAR, and you lose all braking performance at front, you just lock up. That's what I'm always scared of, but I guess that's why I'm up in the booth and they're driving the car.
Yeah, after your endurance performance. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I'm sorry there, Dan. I'm picking on you on that one. Yeah, you see that sun once again. It's going to be getting a little bit. Very soon there, if there wasn't a car there, you're going to be good luck trying to spot your braking points going into sunset. Right now, he's okay, but there it is.
That's what I said.
Got caught off guard, Dan. You called it. You called it.
It's what I was talking about, and we've seen it on display there. Eric Harman not taking into account the fact that he had slipstream, the fact that he did not have as much braking performance because of the downforce loss due to the slipstream and the vacuum that the car was pulling ahead of him. I called it before and I said it before, and that's why I'm scared to race so close behind someone else. That's why I usually pull out coming to a braking zone, just to let the driver know, hey, I am here, don't all of a sudden brake too hard. And of course the driver ahead is entitled to do whatever he wants. That corner is his, he is ahead, but in the end you have to make sure you do not hit the driver ahead, and Eric Harman did not take into account all factors that he had to take into account there.
Different racing lines going into that corner. Yeah, you called it exactly. As and meanwhile, Diego Snyder's gone at the pit road, and that looks like a pretty scheduled pit stop too, so probably taking on some tyres, maybe some fuel. Getting one of those pit stops done out of 2 that you need to do. That even rhymes on my poet. I didn't even know it there, Dan, but Diego is well aware of what he needs to know there for the Hispania Americano team, representing Argentina. Out of the pit lane exit, so probably did take tyres or something on at the moment, or just fueled his car up a little bit heavier to go a little bit deeper into this race. 4 drivers right now. Rich Price, himself, Diego, Scotty, and Joel Jacqueline have taken their pit stops. Whether they wanted to take those pit stops or not, they did. Actually, no. Yeah, Diego did take a 37.6. We saw Rich Price take a quick pit stop there for a fast repair, because it was 2.9 seconds in the dial, so no way that any of the team would have got those tyres on and off the car or put fuel in that time.
No.
I got one for you, CJ, out there. All right, I want to pick his brain. Formula One are looking at adding something to the cars for wet weather racing. Let me know if you are aware of what that is. Yeah, we'll see if CJ knows it. Oh, it looks like there might have been a moment there from Charles. Yes, Charles Krasick on the highlight reel. So probably, I would say, at a moment, an off-track excursion somewhere.
Gonna take a look at it.
Yeah, this will be this turn here.
Going deep. Yeah, he's just gonna go straight on.
Spinaroo.
Oh, that's so easy to do. Just getting caught on the inside of the curb, and the curb just spits you out, really. And well, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's happened a few times in the European one as well. I was surprised.
Yeah, it's so easy
spinning off to the left, which is not in your, the momentum of the car is usually on the opposite side. So as you said, I didn't realize that was a chicane that catches them off there.
Well, the inside of the curb, because it is such a steep incline all of a sudden, it's like straight up. It's like a 90-degree angle on the inside of the curb. It kind of grabs you and it takes you around. Instead of kind of spitting you out, like I said. So that was my mistake, honestly. But that's just the characteristic of that curb. That's what that curb does. We're going to see it to display, and none of the drivers really going a full tire to the inside of that curb. If you go a full tire to the inside of that curb, you want to stay on the inside of that curb. Else, you're going to end up like Grasic's ended up. Grasic's down at P8, 35 seconds. The driver in P7, Richard Horn. We still have about 1 hour, 5 minutes to go. First, the pit stops, I think, incoming for most of the drivers in about 5 minutes' time.
I don't think so. Because the stops they took very late in the race earlier, so they don't have to. Apparently, the tyres can definitely make it pretty deep into this event. And DJ, of course, is 100% correct about that one. You then going to say, Dan, I knew that one, didn't you? But wheel arches, of course, and arches are similar to refer to. Remember you a bicycle? Yeah, you know about bicycles in the Netherlands. A bicycle or a motorbike. Well, you know how you have the arches there?
I'm going to cut you off because
we
are understanding nothing of what you're saying at the moment.
Oh, I'm probably breaking up with you a little bit, so we'll just let it settle itself.
No, you're back. You're magically back.
Oh, I am magically back.
Go on with your story.
Oh, sorry, I said CJ's correct about the wheel arches. We're talking about the F1 before.
Yeah.
Now, wheel arches are, like, just to explain to everybody, that's just a similar thing you have on a bicycle or a motorbike, where it stops all, the tires and the mud flicking up on all over you when as I said, Dan, you know about bicycles in the Netherlands. And
yes,
that's what it does. And the reason putting those wheel arches on there is to stop that massive spray that comes out of the rear of the cars. It makes it very difficult for the other cars that are behind there to...
Fun fact,
yep.
we have more bicycles in the Netherlands than people.
People, yeah, I noticed that, man. I've been and lived in the Netherlands. I was like, there's multi-story car parks of bicycles, especially in central station, right? I remember seeing all that, going, wow, how do you find your own bicycle? They all look the same.
I don't get it. Because isn't it like one person needs one bicycle? Why do you need two bicycles? So why are there more bicycles?
What about Eric making a run here down Sunset? Let's have a look. He's going to have to commit to this now.
He's going to get it.
Yeah.
Or he's going to get cut back by Zuccarelli. Zuccarelli's going to get the better exit.
We go to a TV cam. Dan, there it is. We can probably see the action there. It looks like they have undercar lighting on the cars, but they don't. That's just a reflection, of course, of the sun.
Going down in about 20 minutes. The drivers will be blinded going into Sunset Corner, which will be a great sound to see. It makes for some great pictures. And,
it's picturesque. Absolutely looks beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that.
definitely.
As I said, probably an track that I know that has similar picturesque situations with that sun like that is Phillip Island that we're mentioning in the green room.
The photographers will be going down to turn 15 or 16, excuse me, to try and catch the pictures with the sun in the background. There's the cars coming through. A very fast right-hander going on to the straight before running into Sunset. That's where the photographers will be. It'll be prime time for photography, basically. So,
Kim Ullman, the Australian photographer, on YouTube.
Yeah.
He would be right there for sure.
Oh, for sure, for
Did
sure.
you? Did you? I mean, off the subject a little bit, but I love watching his YouTube channel because Australian photographer that travels to every single F1 GP and most of them
Hold
every
up,
year.
Biggles.
Yeah,
The
I'll
final
hold up.
track between Gallagher and Schneider. We can continue with that story in a bit, but Gallagher is on the verge of overtaking Schneider. He's gone down the inside of turn number 1. The number 666 has overtaken the number 45
Not
of
yet.
Dylan
Not
Schneider.
yet.
Not yet. Now
Maybe.
he has.
Gonna make it stick, but I just did. I was like speaking about Australian before. Well, that's the one on screen right now that is an Aussie, and the only Aussie in the grid for both the series. Actually, no Aussies in the grid for the European series, but good to see Scotty in here for the Americas.
If you look on the side of Scott Gallagher's car, it says, "Wash me."
Well, we'll get you a wash if you see Barney in about what are we looking at, an hour's time there, Scotty? How's that sound?
Yeah, about that. But the thing is, Biggles, endurance cars, sometimes, you know, they deliver a endurance car to a manufacturer to put on display, and they do not clean it at all. They leave it with all the bugs and everything on it, because that's how you should deliver a endurance car to, well, pit road, victory road, basically, because, you know, that's what, you know, it's supposed to do. It's a car that fought hard, that fought against the elements, and in the end came out victorious for a second. I thought Gallagher was going to go for a spin there, but that was just the line he was taking through there.
He's still got the pressure from the Argentinians, so probably both these drivers are geography-wise on latitude. Probably about similar in that location in the world. Of course, as Argentina and Australia have very similar weather, very dry, can get wet. They got more mountains, of course, up there in the in Argentina, but, and pretty much similar wine regions. Remember in the world too. Australia makes some pretty good wine there, and so they make some fantastic wine in Argentina as well. So
I thought all the wine was made in France, Biggles.
No decent wine comes out of France anymore, mate. I mean, especially not the UK. One of the worst regions there. Although apparently because of global warming, they're in places in pit road. So because of global warming, apparently they're saying that they're starting to get some wine regions in the United Kingdom that they thought would never happen before. But as the world changes, Stevie, well, he's going to his first pit stop right now. Let's see if he's going to go in and out. And let's get a pit stop and see if he's going to raise that car up and change some tires. Interesting. He took early pit stops as well in the European race earlier today. And so,
well, if you have to make two pit stops, two mandatory pit stops, then doing it basically after half an hour, and with half an hour to go, you basically split the race perfectly in 3 parts. So I don't really call that early pit stops. I just call that general race management. You pit at the right time, at what seems to be the right time, at least a good average. You pit right at 1/3 and right at 2/3 completed in the race, which is just, you know, the safe bet, really, Biggles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on because you've got such an endurance race, and because the tires aren't like, you know, Formula One stuff where they just chew through like crazy. You have kind of a flexible opportunity here to see how that's going to pan out, and because we have less drivers in this field, so not much of a problem. But he's come out at the moment there in P6 there, actually putting pressure right there on Manuel. Going back to that situation real quick there of Kim, so we can close that chapter of the story. What he did, what I didn't realize, his son turned, they were in Perth before he went to the Melbourne GP to do his work. His son turned 21, and his present to his son was a letter that he wrote every day of his son's birthday. So on the day he was born, all the way to his 21st birthday, he wrote a letter specifically. But forget about that. Stephen Place goes straight on through. I think there, Manuel said, okay, yeah, we're offset here in the pit stop strategy situation. Allow Stevie to get on through there. But yeah, wrote a letter every day on the birthday of his son. And his son never got to read it until his 21st birthday. So he had to go through all these letters, 21 of them, of course. And however his father was feeling at the time, writing about that, I guess, the year in review, essentially. Isn't that an amazing something, that a present that somebody would give to you? You never even think about that, doing that, isn't it? Something small like that is worth its weight in gold any day of the week.
Oh, for sure. basically, you can give someone, you can think of everything. You can give someone a TV, you can give someone a new sim rig. Us sim racers, so happy with that. But that, Biggles, you know what we call that. We call that priceless. Nothing can buy that, really.
You could have a Ferrari parked in the garage as a birthday present, but just to be able to read through those letters, be amazing. Especially like the first ones you'd read, like the one about you being born. You're not going to remember being born. Your first year, your second year, your third year. You're probably not going to remember any of those times too much. As Charles goes into pit road. So it'd be interesting, isn't it? Reading a letter back of, one of your parents or both your parents or whatever talking about what you were like when you were like 2 years old there, Dan.
What I was like when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
I was a crazy little kid that was annoying my mum and dad all the time. That's how I was. I was quiet about everything. Put that in there. Yeah. They couldn't catch any sleep.
I wonder, wouldn't it be amazing, Dan, if you were to read that letter and it said, and they had nothing to do with knowing what you would be, how you would be right now and how you're into esports and motorsports and stuff. And then like you read a letter saying, we remember you sitting up in front of a television, turning a fake steering wheel or something like that. Or you'd be in some sort of like pushing some sort of thing, pretending you're a race driver. And you'd be like, I never knew that. Could that be really the reason why I'm into motorsports these days? Wouldn't that be fun to read that?
Yeah. Well, I wish that was the case. Maybe I would have had a little bit more talent then. But no, if you no, that's sadly the talent didn't come at my birth. Sadly, so no, did not get the racing talent that some of these drivers have out of display. Especially this man, Lucas Vieira, 16 seconds ahead of Arturo Scuderis now. Traffic already coming into play. Look up ahead. I think that is Diego Schneider. Yes, it is Diego Schneider who is coming up to lap. So Diego Schneider already has made his pit stop. And Lucas Vieira still has to make his pit stop, excuse me.
Yeah, Dan, if you don't mind showing that little icon next to the thing that shows you the pit stops they have done and will have not done. Remember, they have to make 2 of them at the moment. Just expect everybody to make the 1. Maybe some of the other drivers might take an early gamble and take another one. Thank you very much. Right on cue. So that's the pit stop times. And that's one for CJ out there too. CJ, a question for you is what got you into motorsports? How long have you been into motorsports? And who is your favorite Disney princess? You can forget about the third question, but if you'd like to answer those other ones, because seeing such a Wikipedia knowledge of F1, motorsports in general, I'm just curious to see how
Biggles. We've had a crash out on track.
Oh no. And that's Manuel. So the Colombian driver, don't do it to me, mate. You're the closest to me.
He's going to go deep.
Geography.
He's going to go deep. Watch it.
Yeah. Is it locked it up there? Yep. Boom. Out of the fence, but that's, once again, lucky that's just off the racing line.
I mean, if a spin is everything, that's not too bad in an endurance race. You can keep going with that. No damage done to the car. However, I think if we go on board real quick, look at the left front of that car. Once again, mirror pointing at the sky. And the left front, not as aerodynamically efficient as it once was.
I don't think you can see the corner anymore, too. That's sun, as I said. And that's just to let everybody else know, I've said this before in the European division, that, in most of the people in Europe, if you are in Europe, actually, you're the only European, actually. Our Lithuanian is in there. There's a big ball of hydrogen. And what's the other element, of course? I haven't forgot that one earlier. Hydrogen and helium? Hydrogen, helium?
Could be.
Two most common elements on the table. Yeah, it's called the sun, right? We call it the sun. It's a star. And you don't see it very often in Europe. So every once in a while it peaks between the clouds. Yeah. And that's why it's, like, trust me, in Australia, we're sick of it. We see too much of it. It burns us all the time, gives us skin cancers and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, in Europe, you get to see it. At least in the esports world right now, you're going to be seeing it peeking in your eyes as you make your way down into the sunset. We got a lot of Americans in here as well too, and Canadians, so they're well aware of that. Well, Canadians not so much, let's say.
Deep though from Sorzano, who's already had that spin. And again, a little bit of an off-track moment. That is down into turn 1, I think. Is it not? Yes, it was. Down to turn 1. He gathers himself back up and is underway again. That gap already out to about 8/10 of a second again. But this is what I said about 20 minutes ago. I said in 20 minutes from now, you're going to have that sun fully in your face. The sun is going to be going down. We have a reaction from CJ in chat. When I was young, he says, I liked playing with Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. Now, Matchbox, you're going to have to explain after I'm done reading this what that is, because I don't know what that is. And so my dad
it's basically the
started
same.
to take me to
Yeah, go ahead.
races at different tracks near where I lived. And I've been watching motorsports next.
Ah, cool. There you go. And Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars are basically the early version of Hot Wheel cars. So the little, you know, the iron ones with the wheels and stuff like that. That's what it is. Yeah.
Oh,
okay. That's interesting. I played with Matchbox cars as well too. Probably less Hot Wheels because I'm a little bit older. It's the same thing, just brands. But that's great. Absolutely fantastic. So good on you. Thumbs up to your dad there, taking you out there into live racing events too. I never got a chance to do that too much. My dad wasn't into motorsports. So let me watch Formula One at midnight on a school night on Sundays, but because of your European races being so different time zone. But aside from that, that's absolutely fantastic. Good on you.
Now, I do have to mention, Stephen Pace just said his quickest lap of the race on new tyres, on heavier fuel though. Now, Lucas Vieira has set his fastest lap time of the race 3 laps ago of 1:53.42. Last time round he did 1:53.4 or 0.61, excuse me. So he's still about 2.5 tenths quicker than this man Stephen Pace, who was in second when he pitted, was.
Guess what?
On new tyres.
Lucas is going even quicker. He just set another fastest lap.
By about 1,000 or 100 of a second. So, yeah, Lucas Vieira killing it out there.
This is what I saw earlier, Dan. That's what I'm saying. Like, the lap times get quicker and quicker and quicker. This is not going to be the quickest lap time, I guarantee you right now. Because I was setting the fastest lap times close to the dying stages of the race earlier in Europe, and this is just a carbon copy right now of the exact time zone, the exact same track and conditions. So, yeah, definitely expect that to get a lot quicker.
Well, the earliest memory that I have for myself in getting into motorsports was when I was about 7-8 years old. I had a little blue quad, an electric quad, you know, as these kids in these days now have those mini Bugattis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, you know, that the little kids drive in. I had one too.
Yeah.
I had a quad, and I used to drive around. It wasn't quick at all. It did what, probably 3, 4, maybe maximum 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But damn, it was fun when I was 8 years old, and I used to go as close to the walls as possible. Even though it was that slow of a speed, you know.
But you didn't know it at the time, Dan. Remember, when you're a kid, that thing is like going 100 miles an hour to you, remember? And your parents are going, thank God it's going 5 miles an hour, so I don't have to take you to the hospital because we just smashed it into the wall. So, yeah, but once again, it's just that thrill, isn't it? You were a motor racer at that point, and in your mind, you're the future Max Verstappen, stuff like that. You're pretending to be the future Max Verstappen, even though...
What can you imagine?
Yeah.
Max Verstappen, when he was 7-8 years old, he was actually going...
Karting, he was doing it.
He was actually going a good 50-60 miles an hour around the karting track. Meanwhile, I was going 5 miles an hour in my back garden.
That's what happens when you have, you know, an ex-Formula 1 driver as your dad. Of course, he's going to put, you know, inspire you to get inside a go-kart there and push it, risk it for the biscuit, per se. Yeah, and also money, remember, too. You're going to have a ton of money to get into motor racing these days. And I'm sure your parents, if they want to take a major loan out to support it. That's the one good thing you'd have to say about Lewis Hamilton, the family, right? Obviously, his father and his mother to working double jobs and stuff like that, just to be able to scrape up enough money to be able to get Lewis into the spotlight, which he eventually got, of course, because Dennis from the McLaren team that picked him up as a young junior driver. Yeah. It's also luck of the draw. Deep. Yeah, that is deep. It's also luck of the draw, isn't it, to be able to get that? Because there's other drivers out there, of course, that have missed out opportunities because they just didn't get noticed at the right time.
So many.
Yeah.
So many drivers that have missed out on opportunities. There's so many great talent out there. And the thing that I have seen, like you've seen Latifi depart from the sport because Williams didn't need the money anymore with the budget cap. So these drivers basically
Paid drivers at that point, right? They were paid drivers.
Yeah. Well, everyone in F1 is.
Yeah.
But actually, some drivers actually paid to be in that seat, and like they were holding the team back at this point. So Latifi, if the budget cap wasn't there, he would probably still be driving for Williams. But you could see that the talent that some other drivers had just wasn't quite there. Now, don't get me wrong, Latifi would probably beat me in anything, but the fact is, he did not have the talent that some of the other drivers, like Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, George Russell, Alex Albon, so many drivers on the grid have exceptional talent. And that's been a debate for a while. And yeah, granted, everybody says you're not going to throw anybody just in the Formula 1, right? You still have to be quick. You still have to be good, okay? Otherwise, it's just a waste of companies' resources when you're smashing cars and stuff like that. That happened actually sometimes in the 80s when there was some Japanese drivers actually that didn't do very good at all. Basically crashed all the time. I think Nakajima or something. But bring a lot of money to the team, but crash so much. These days, it's just not feasible to have a driver like that. And even if they're going to give you $1 billion a race, it's just pointless. But they still have that talent. Yeah, but of course, talent in Formula 1 is a big difference between good talent and not so good talent, considering all the other talent that's going through. As Richard Hearn goes into pit road to take Kisa, keep an eye on this battle Steve plays, because he's making his gains, isn't it? 2 for now after that pit stop. It's not going to be a battle, Biggles. This is not going to be a battle. Steven Blaze is going to have him all day and all night. He's on new tires, has made a pit stop, and Zuccarelli is going to get done up the inside. He left the inside open, and he is going to get burgled. Down the inside goes Steven Blaze. Going to make that move stick, and there we go into turn 6. Goes up into P4, and he can now start to work on trying to close that gap down to Harman ahead of him. Steven Blaze, though, not doing bad, has already made a pit stop. Is back up
carbon copy,
P4.
my friend. Carbon copy of his European race earlier. Just boxing early, getting it done on track, and it's good to see Stevie do it. I want to see Stevie obviously looking to perhaps get himself right up on the podium somewhere. I think a podium is definitely a possibility now. Whether or not he can challenge Lucas Vieira for a race win, who's in right on that. As I mentioned that, we'll get back to you in a second there, CJ. I know you got some notes out there. I'd like to follow up on that one, but we'll see about the action in the pit road there. What's happened to Diego?
I can tell you what has happened to Diego. He's probably either spun or gone in too deep or hit the grass on the left-hand side. Diego Schneider is going to spin turn his car and try and get underway again. But there we go.
I haven't seen that, Dan. I haven't seen that. Like, I didn't see anybody start that up in the European one. Now, I've seen people go deep on straight through because luckily there's a runoff area there, and find your way back on the track, not like Kimi Räikkönen in Brazil many years ago.
Take a look with him on board here.
Yeah. Look at that sun, mate. That could also be one of the factors at play, isn't it?
Yeah. For sure. Oh, just gets onto the grass and then just stacks it. Yeah.
Waves at the hotel where he was crashing out there earlier. Hotel room.
Yeah. he wanted to go back to the hotel the other way. Just turn left instead of right.
Jump the fence and you can get into the hotel car park area in no time. But the main thing is no damage, and that's the good thing we've actually seen with all the drivers so far. Having a little bit, you'll see that did happen, of course, in an endurance race. A little bit of snappy, a little bit of a go too deep or accelerate. Not so much of a hit the lard pad on the car spins. It's more of into the braking points where people have been making mistakes, but they've been keeping out of the fence. I think only that one driver earlier that we saw had a little moment with the fence, but aside from that, good to go. What about Mr. Rich Price now, my friends, on the back there of Mr. Richard Hearn. So it starts with an R, an I, and a CH between the drivers.
As long as your second name starts with a P at this point, you're in a battle that is closer than a second. Saying that, though, Price or Place has already pulled out a second on Zuccarelli. Rich Price, I have to say, excuse me, is within about 3/10. I do want to quickly fall back on what CJ said in chat. He says, that is one thing that annoys me about saying F1 drivers are the 20 best drivers in the world. They are really just 20 best drivers who were in the right place at the right time.
Right time. That's absolutely perfect. So, yeah, that's the best statement I've heard, exactly. They have to say,
many of them are talented, but some of them are not nearly good enough to be considered to be the 20 best drivers.
Of course. Yeah. And Arturis has gone in, my friend. So there's our Lithuanian driver's gone in the pit road, and we'll drop him back a little bit. Now, is he going to be able to clear the likes of Lucas? Lucas is going to be able to get him for sure, right? Because Lucas already taken his pit stop. It should be back into the lead of this race there for the Brazilian.
Stephen Place is going to inherit the lead, though. Because
Yeah,
he's already
he
made a pit
will,
stop. He's
actually,
the first
yeah.
leader.
Yes, yep. I think that's might have paid off there for Stevie, but we still got... and Stevie, it has to depend how long he's going to stretch this one, because his next pit stop will probably be a similar time, like a 30s or 40s or whatever, take on fuel or tyres. Whereas some of these other drivers at the moment are going to do probably just a stop-go, because they should have definitely enough fuel and tyres to go to the end, and the stop-go, of course, is going to cost you about 34 seconds total pit stop time, and about 2 seconds or change or less. And all you have to do is just stop in your spot for a millisecond and leave.
It sounds so easy, doesn't it, Biggles? However, we touched on it earlier on. The pit stop phase is the most busy situation for a driver behind the wheel. As a little bit further back, it seems like Bryce
Manuel.
He spun.
Oh no,
That
was that contact between them? Because there was it's right at the pit lane entrance, so that's probably not a bad place to have a moment. But have a look at that one. There might have been contact there, Dan. They were battling.
I know he's done it on his own.
Oh,
there was contact.
Oh,
I think
yeah. Have a look at that one
contact.
again. Yeah, chopper cam or something. Let's see if we can get a nice angle on that. Well, there's not a lot of action on the track at the moment, but that certainly was action right there and then. Let's have a look.
Bryce on the inside. He's got to pull into pit lane, so he's got to slow down on the apex.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was contact there. I think just Solorzano just did not expect him to be that slow coming off the corner.
They got the police maneuver, isn't it? Like a US police maneuver when they did that. They try to tag a car and send him around the wrong way, but unfortunately, Diego's in. Eric Hartman's in. So there it is. They're taking their pit stops, their first mandatory pit stops, and usually at that point they will take fuel and tires, because get them up in the jack, probably fuel too. And which makes me think that with 39 minutes left of the race, that's a short stint. Remember too, Dan, that they cannot box at 10 minutes remaining in the race. And in fact, one of those drivers in the European one left it to about 30 seconds left of that 10-minute marker to enter the pit road.
Oh, wow.
And we were talking about saying, if you made a slight mistake on that in lap for your pit stop,
it's the risk
and you spun, that's it. You would have been disqualified.
Risk versus reward.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't. Now my question is, where did he finish?
I honestly can't remember. That was like the 20-something. I think it was a good position. I'm in the top 10. Anyway, look at this. Adoris has now come out of pit road. He's tucked up right in the back there of Diego Zuccarelli, who has made their pit stop. So this is definitely 100% legitimately battling for position.
Who's going to get it, though? I don't think Kunzelis is going to want to play around too long here. He's got up to the back of Zuccarelli. And Zuccarelli is going to be passed, I think, by Arturis at least within 2 laps, because Arturis is really quick. You can see it quicker through the corners, quicker coming off the corners, and quicker into it. Basically quicker everywhere. There will be corners, though, where Zuccarelli will be quicker. Zuccarelli is no slouch in this car. He's really quick. But he's been passed,
easy.
and there we go, just a bit deep.
That's a lift, I think, more than anything.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure they would put that fight. Maybe happy to be chasing the car rather than being chased. And this is the interesting thing too, Dan. I'm liking the 2 pit stop strategy that they've chosen here at the Radical Series for that, even though the second pit stop's really, a lot of the time, it's just to stop, as I said, stop and go. However, it's bring action a 90-minute race, as you can see right now. It's bring... Considering we had today, at the moment, we have a shorter field, right, with 12 drivers, but even so, look at that. I mean, we're down to 37 minutes in this race, and we've got action on the track, and trust me, there's still going to be action continuing, as they still have to make extra pit stops. So it's whatever they've done, I think it's also going, why 2 pit stops, at the start, we're kind of questioning it, and now I realize that is, well, look at the blinding light. But that is the reason why I think it really does add another ace card to the motor race.
Here we go, inside the helmet of Diego Zuccarelli, the helmet cam right now. And look at that, look at the sun. You come under the bridge, boom, blinded basically. We're going to take a look on port with Diego Zuccarelli into Sunset Corner in a bit.
Yeah, I want to see that because that's the one that's going to really be painful for the driver.
We'll have to see, however, because at the moment it doesn't seem like the sun is too blinding.
Well, you're facing away from it, my friend. You got to go back all the way around the track. Of course, he's only in sector 6, I think. I don't know the mini sectors that well, but it looks like sector 6.
This is sector number 4. Where he is in right now. He's just about to enter sector number 5. And there we go. He's now into sector number 5.
Yeah, this is it.
We're going to see it on the back stretch here.
Yeah.
Will the sun be in his face or not?
These double corners, you said, get into the bumpy section right now. This is called the porpoising. And now look at this, Dan. You're going to start seeing it soon. It's going to get. It's actually probably just lowered right below the trees at this point. So it wasn't as bright as it was, give or take, about 2 minutes or so ago. Yeah, because now you can actually see the corner. You couldn't see it so much before. Was that Sunset Corner there, right? If I'm not mistaken, or am I wrong? Or was that Le Mans?
That is Sunset.
Okay.
Never forget that again, because the sun goes down at that corner, Biggles.
Yeah, it's the headlights are going to start coming on soon. It won't get completely dark at the moment. 35 minutes to go, but it will start. I don't know why.
To fade a bit.
We got to get out of this sunset thing too, as well, because actually the Earth is rotating away from the sun, not the sun is rotating away from the Earth. Anyway, let's not get into a Neil deGrasse Tyson science podcast right now.
We did this yesterday,
yeah.
or 2 days ago during the Platinum Endurance Championship. I joined after I had my stint in the car, because I drive in that championship too. I joined, and they were talking about the sun being hot and James.
Oh, that's right. Remember James? James was I actually mentioned this again today in the Radical European Series. James saying, well, how do you know what the temperature of the sun is? Have you been there? Have you put a fold-up chair there?
No,
and had a little bit of a sunbake?
There are so many smart people in this world nowadays that can calculate everything with like basic formulas. And they say it's basic formulas, but for us it's like rocket science. So, yeah.
And we know it's correct because you can actually accurately put a man on the moon and stuff like that, and accurately land things on asteroids and stuff like that. Now, you've got to, I mean, if that math is not paying off, then something's wrong. But obviously the math is correct. Otherwise, you'll never do that. And I was actually saying to James, I think, like, how do you do it? Well, remember COVID, mate, when everybody had those little laser thermal gadgets? And you pointed at a surface and it tells you what the temperature is.
Yeah.
Not that. If we had that to be able to tell what temperature is on a foreign object, I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to figure out the temperature of the sun is.
Difficult.
The one that gets me is the internal temperature. That's the one that'd be hard to figure out. The external temperature, great, but the internal temperature, that I think it's all based on light and the infrared and all the other jazz out there. I don't work for NASA, so that's not my.
Well, let's be honest, Biggles. There's a reason we're up in the booth, and we're not working on the next Apollo 20 million, because we are for sure not as smart as all those people that are working on it are. We're not done.
But you know who is smart? I mean, you got to look at the engineers that are in Formula One, for example. Adrian Newey, one of the most high. Adrian Newey's probably earned more money in Formula One than most drivers have in their career. Yeah. Is Adrian Newey going to get? It's a lot of money, and does a lot of work, of course. But it doesn't matter about age. It's not a matter about Adrian Newey. It's time to retire from Formula One because you're too old. No, you can do that stuff in his 80s if you want, as long as your brain's still working and functioning like it is. You're good. And he started in aerodynamics and all that sort of really sharp end.
Well, he still draws
engineering skills.
The cars that
manually. He's one of the only ones that does it by hand. Yeah.
Which I find that's amazing in a day and age where everything is going digital, everything is done by AI. The man himself, the most genius aerodynamic engineer in Formula 1, he is still doing it on paper. And that shows you that the old-fashioned way is not always worse.
Now, old school works sometimes for sure, and that's the reason why they're still keeping him around. They won't be paying him that expensive paycheck if he's not doing the right job. But I'll tell you what, right now, what is happening? We see Charles has had a little, not Charles Leclerc, of course, this is Charles Krasik, has had a moment. This is going to be a classic one, isn't it? And this is a few times I've seen that. In fact, that was a carbon copy because I was talking about it earlier going, where's the cars? Disappeared under the bridge. Once again, I didn't even know that there was a bridge there. And now I know because I saw it earlier today. But look at that three-way battle that's brewing. This is the thing we're talking about, Dan. We're down to 31 minutes left of this race, and we have a three-way fight on our hands for P3.
Now, I don't think Zuccarelli is going to be able to overtake Arturus here. But if he overtakes Eric Harman and Zuccarelli can stay close, he can maybe just pull with him and try and use the momentum that he's created for himself to try and overtake Eric Harman together with Arturus Condelis. So we're going to see what he's going to be able to do. Well, I think next lap, because this lap he will be a little bit too far back, running into a Sunset Corner. We're going to say it's so far, with about 30 minutes to go, so 2/3 of this race done. It's been an interesting one, and definitely an interesting 30 minutes to go, so don't go anywhere. It's going to be, well, basically strategy playing out. It's going to be racing that's going to be happening, and, well, we know, Biggles, that once strategies play out, usually the field bunches up a bit. So if we're already close, it's going to be super close at the end of the race.
Well, and on top of what CJ just said in the chat, which is 100%, I was about to say that, CJ, but great minds think alike. One pit stop still remaining for every one of the, not every one of the drivers. Scott's taking a pit stop as well as Mr. Rich Price has, but everybody else has to take one more. It's mandatory. Most likely, for a lot of the drivers, will be a stop go. I think at the moment there for Stephen Place, his pit stop will be a little bit longer than the rest of them, but that's okay because he's still in the lead and he's got a lead there by 21 seconds to change, which will be very, very close between him and Lucas. And on top of that, they've only got we got 29 minutes, so 19 minutes to get that pit stop in because I can't, once again, do that and under 10 minutes remaining in the race unless we're going to go to one of those Australian Formula 1 situations where we have no idea what's going on at the end of the race. But thankfully here at Radical Simracing, we do know what's going to go on.
Well, that's just Australia, mate. That's just when you're upside
Hang
down.
on, that's FIA. That's not Australia.
No, when you're upside down, Biggles, crazy things happen.
True. Well, I actually was glad that it was an exciting race because sometimes the Australian races can be very boring. In fact, without those upgrades to the track, 4 DRS zones last year. In free practice, they tested one of those DRS zones and they removed it. So this year they decided to go with the 4. And I loved it. Lakeside Drive using a DRS. Crazy, but a lot of fun. Look how close this is right now. Diego, the Canadian. One Canadian in this race. One Canadian currently in P5. One Canadian, unfortunately, in P12. So either way, there's a Canadian on the track and spread out everywhere.
P1.
Yeah, I said one player Canadian, Stevie leading this one, but that's going to be close because I believe that Stevie, he boxed on lap 16. So he's going to have to take tyres, and that's going to cost him a little bit more time. We'll see how that... I think Lucas is going to be able to just tap it in, tap it out, no problems. If he can hit his pit box perfecto. Don't drive through the wrong pit box, Lucas, sorry. That drivers have done before in the Formula 1. Thankfully, that the Lollipop Man should be no problemo here in iRacing. Mind you, just to let everybody know out there, we don't see the Lollipop Man in broadcasting mode. Yeah. But the drivers see a Lollipop Man. A woman. Whoever's there holding.
The thing is, it wouldn't add anything because we would see just 12 Lollipops man standing there. And we wouldn't know which Lollipop Man is from the driver that is coming in.
Well, in the Formula 1 game, and the Formula 1 game being a game, it supplements graphics sometimes to look okay over racing performance. Which is what it's really good. The good thing I like about iRacing is the fact that at least the developers are spending more time. Get back to you on that one.
He's going to go down the inside of Zuccarelli. I said before, I don't think Zuccarelli has the pace. Zuccarelli says, you know what, you commentators in the booth, you know nothing about how much pace I have. And Diego Zuccarelli moves up into P4 in this race right now. Condelis in P5. And well, it was Condelis who got passed a bit earlier on. Harmon, though, creating a little bit of a gap for himself towards these two drivers. So if they just can stop fighting each other, they can work together and they can maybe both catch up to Harmon, because what they're doing right now, Biggles, the only thing it's doing, it's helping Harmon. It's well ahead of them.
Yeah, absolutely right, because once he cleared them, he cleared it by 2 seconds, and that was a three-way battle we saw, but about half a second separated between those three drivers. So that, yeah, and I think at that point, Diego's just said, look, enough is enough. I have to get up the road here. What's happened to my Australian Scotty? Too deep in there, in the fence. Scotty, no! The 666 machine. Now, remember, that was, we believe he got a jump start off that race. He started last. He didn't set a lap time at all during qualifying, and made his way up through the field there during the start of the race. We believe that was a jump start. It just looked too perfect. Had to serve a penalty, and now he's got a little bit of damage. So all gone pole shape for the Australian driver right now, but still getting opportunity to get points. But what's not gone pole shape at the moment is, as you can see, return or revenge there of the drivers that are battling it out. Let's actually further back. Sorry, this P4, P5. So what's happened to Diego there after getting overtaken? Now he's from the overtake team as well too. So mate, yeah, you got a team name says overtake. Well, don't allow anybody to overtake you.
Daly's is going to try and get past again. 10 is the gap. He has about 25 minutes left. With a bit of a snap there for Arturas Condelis. Maybe feeling the tire wear. That's not going to help it. That gap up to 0.7 of a second. It seems like Zuccarelli, in terms of his tires, is just a little bit better off. However, though, the gap to Harmon ahead of him seems to, sadly for us,
Diego going in.
Ever growing.
Do you mind going to Diego for a second? Because I want to see if it's going to be a quick, quick in and out, or is he going to take some tires? Diego is out already. Oh, that's a stop and go. That's a quick pit stop. He didn't take anything at all. It's 1 second they're dead. So this is where you're gonna see whether or not these drivers have fueled whatever they had the fuel, or put the tires on enough there to do the rest of it. So that's it. First of the drivers has got his second one out, apart from Scotty. That's a little bit too far back to do anything about this. So the rest of the field up the road from this man have to take their second pit stop. Once again, is it going to be a quick stop and go? I don't think so for Steven. I think Stevie, because he boxed on lap 16, has to take something. Fuel. Stevie did it this earlier in the European race. He will drop back a few places, but where not, he can comfortably try to find a way out and getting ahead of Eric Harmon or Diego in P4. I don't think he's going to be able to cover off Lucas at this point. Lucas is, 21 seconds to change down the road, and I believe Lucas is going to do one of those 2-second pit stops, so it's going to be close.
Well, we're going to see the gap between them, 21 seconds. Lucas looks quicker. Lucas has been quicker on the average pace the whole evening long. However, though, like we saw last week, it's not only a case of being quicker, Biggles, it's a case of keeping it on track too. That's what missed last time round, of course, for Arturas Condelis. And so sad to see that he was really quick. In the end, it just was not enough. And Lucas Vieira, in the end, victory. He's been dominant here this evening.
He's trying to back there, as you said, Torres. At the moment, he's still tucked up at the back there of Diego, so that's one of the closest battles you can see on the track. You can see it riding on board right now there with the Lithuanian driver. Now, it's a matter of just driving like you can, driving your pants off there, and whether or not there be a mistake. And there's is that a blink? Oh, straight, that's Joel Jacqueline's going the pit road, but what happened? Oh, that was just a netcode blink. I don't like that one, but that's difficult to overtake, isn't it, Dan, when a car just disappears and then reappears?
Yeah, it's difficult. Especially because you don't know where the car is on track. And if it suddenly reappears and you're in it, well, I can tell you one thing, it's going to put you off at least. It is not going to help your rhythm. And, you know, racing usually is all about rhythm. If you're out of the rhythm, if you're not in the rhythm, you're not going to put down your optimum lap times. And what you really need at the moment are optimum lap times, I think.
Oh, made a massive mistake coming out of the final corner. Exactly, boom. Straight on by there.
I think he wanted to go into the pit lane, but he just didn't slow down enough. And I think he's going to have to go for another lap. I think that's what happened at least. Let's just come Dailies. Therefore, he's overtaken Zuccarelli again. Like I said, Zuccarelli looked quicker once he was behind from Dailies, but the same was true for Dailies when he was behind Zuccarelli. So these two very evenly matched at the moment with the slipstream.
And I'm expecting Stevie to come in soon. I got a feeling that Stevie's night's going to be a good night. Tonight's going to be a good night for Stevie. There it is. So I was coming up with something on that one, but Manuel goes in there. Solarius, so the Argentinian driver goes in. But I think Stevie's going to come in. Remember, he was at lap 16 he boxed. We're on lap 36. And I think if Steven plays it, now this is now a second. The rehearsal race that he had earlier is over. Now it's the main show. So he's got a little bit more experience than the other drivers here because he's already been in the Radicals European race earlier. So he knows what strategy might work a little bit better. And I feel that if he does lose out to Lucas or even Eric, he's going to allow him enough some time there to get out there with some fresh boots or whatever, and then put some banker laps in and maybe cover them off later when they box. I don't think it'd be wise for him to wait too long because now you've got 10 minutes left to make a pit stop. Every one of those drivers have to make a pit stop in the top 6 right now. And Stevie's going to take a lot longer, I think a little bit longer than some of the other drivers. So I think at the time you're going to get it done now and allow yourself some time to catch back up.
You also have to think about the fact that you're heavier once you come out of the pit lane. So it's not that easy to get that time because you're heavier too.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. And actually the lap times isn't too bad, but yeah, because he's doing 53s. 53.8 last lap. Lucas did a 53.7, so he's matching, he's keeping Lucas at that 21-second gap, but that 21-second gap is not going to be enough for a pit stop. But then again, we know that Lucas has to make a pit stop, and so Stevie has to kind of cover off, wait, if I have to take an extra 3-4 seconds on my pit stop, will that be enough? I mean, there's a lot of crunching going right now if I was an engineer for those teams.
Excuse me, they couldn't hear me on stream, I just realised.
Yeah, and let everybody know, Diego running in P7 is the only one that's made his second pit stop. He's the one that's leading the second pit stop crew, put it that way.
Yeah, well, the whole top 6 still has to make their pit stop. And because it's mandatory. 2 pit stops are mandatory, so they have to make it. And Steven plays, the only thing he needs to make sure is that he doesn't lose 21 seconds in the pit stop that he's going to have to make. If we look at the average of
he's
the
going
other
to have to. He will, I think.
Well, the average of the other drivers is about 1 minute 7, 1 minute and 10 seconds. And the average of just the pit stop without anything, just maybe a little bit of splash and dash, maybe just 2-3 seconds, is about 33 to 34 seconds. That is by my calculations, which you know, Biggles, and everyone on this channel knows, are not always correct, but I do think I got this one. That is more than 21 seconds. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he can clear Lucas, but can he clear Eric at P3? That's the thing. That's 27 seconds. I think that's his target. Now, if he does somehow miraculously beat Lucas, absolutely fantastic. But I think the problem is definitely Eric. He's got to find a way of clearing Eric. Now, Eric's last lap time, a 54.86. Steven's a 53.7. So whatever it is, Stevie's still quicker. If you're gaining time on the driver that you're wanting...
10 seconds ahead of Harmer.
Yeah, it's working at the moment. You don't need the box, do you? If you're actually gaining time on that driver, that's you're potentially battling.
You're going to get disqualified if you don't make your second pit stop. So
oh, they have to, but we know everybody's in 7 minutes. We know that for a fact. Okay, but if he's gaining time, then maybe if you're shaving a second off the driver that potentially you're going to be coming out battling with, well, I'll take that one into the next 7 minute time if I have to.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Well, you know.
There it is. So Stevie's in, right on cue.
Now we're going to see, what is he going to do? Because it's been an
It's got to be.
interesting
He's got
strategy
to.
race
I
so
want to see if he
far.
takes tires. I think he's going to take tires here. Spot your box there. Get your lollipop man there. Stevie, don't have to spot it perfectly. So you don't have to back up. There it is. It does. Now the front gate. Does the front go up?
No,
Not
at the
yet.
moment.
No, that's fuel. He's going to have to go on the same tires. Now Lucas is
Yeah,
coming
that's
as
it
well
too.
in the background. Exactly. So this is long because he's taking fuel. Now Lucas should be. Look at this.
He's
Look, he's
got
out.
him. He's
But look
got
at.
him.
Yeah, he has, but Lucas should be out in a second as well. How long's Lucas taking? A lot longer. Yeah, Lucas 6 seconds. So it wasn't a quick absolute splash and dash, but yeah, Stevie's got him. You're right. What a play. 7 seconds now.
He even kept the lead of the race with that. 7.7 seconds is the gap now to Vieira. It's still 60 minutes to go. Nothing is done and dusted. The gap behind that for Vieira and Harman, about, well, 6/10 of a second. The second the gap is now between those two. Like I said towards the end of the race, it's all going to kick off again. If I now switch to interval, you can see on the top left, it's all also close. Arturus Condelis, here he is. He's going to chase down Harman too. He's within 1.2 seconds of that driver. 6/10 for Harman to Vieira. And then 7.8 to lead the race from P2. Oh man, this is going to be an amazing battle towards the end. I don't know what to look for here, Biggles.
Brilliant racing. Yeah. I told you this, Dan. I said, look forward to it. As James would say, get your popcorn ready because this is going to be a bit of a showdown. 15 minutes to go. So 5 minutes left of the mandatory pit stop for the drivers who have not taken their second pit stop, which currently at the moment are Eric Hartmann. This man you're watching on your screen. Further back, Richard Hearn. Diego has taken his. And then Charles Krasik there in P10 has to take his. So that is it. Also a battle between those drivers.
No, that was a back marker. Excuse me. That was a back marker. That was slow. And I think that was Grossi.
And look at Lucas, man. Look at, well, Lucas now. Where is he at the moment? I'm seeing that sort of stuff. So Eric, actually, that's my apologies. Eric on Lucas, but then Lucas has made his pit stop, so he shouldn't be too worried too much about Eric Hartmann, because he knows that Eric has to go and visit pit road. But the problem is at the moment, Lucas is not thinking about that. Actually, got past. Lucas is thinking about 7 seconds to gain and 14 minutes to try to take Stephen's place away from Stevie. Sorry, Stevie. Every single time your name's there, I just have to do those. Stevie doesn't mind it, I'm sure. And it looking like we'll be talking to Stevie at the end of this race anyway for an interview, as he's probably going to be somewhere on the podium, if not definitely the top step.
Well, 7.7 seconds the gap, not really coming down rapidly from Lucas Vieira. It is coming down, but at the moment, the pace that it's coming down at would not be enough to challenge him for the lead towards the end of the race. He needs to gain a lot more time a lap.
That's a lot. That's a mountain, isn't it? As Richard Hearn's in pit road as well.
He needs to gain about a second a lap here.
Will he clear Diego? Will Diego clear? I mean,
again.
where are they?
Again.
What's happened? Oh, Charles Krasik. Oh no, yeah, this is a
gonna
classic.
Be a carbon copy.
This is the final corner, actually. No, people have dropped it around here.
Carbon copy of what happened just earlier on.
It was actually dead. You're right. Am I seeing a replay of the replay?
No.
No, it's live. It was live, and there's a replay now.
Also,
Okay.
Diego Zuccarelli has gone round. Zuccarelli, after having such a good, first half of the race, he's gone round, and that is coming down into turn 6, I think that is. And he just lit the rears up on exit, spun it round, reversed back, and he's turned it back onto the track, and is back underway, chasing lap again.
Man, TJ's sharp out there. He was saying Jacqueline has gained 8 seconds of Krasik in his pit stop, and then I think he just realized on the replay right now exactly the reason why it happened. Look at Lucas! Fastest lap, but is it not fastest enough? Because as quick as he's been, a 53.17. I told you they're going to be exchanging fast laps towards the end of the race, my friends. It cools down a little bit, and they get more comfortable.
The gap was between them last time round. Half a second quicker was Vieira.
It's not going to be enough.
That would not be enough.
No. Because Stevie has been matching the pace of Lucas all race long. And at the moment, Stephen, got to remember, Stephen gained 1 place at the moment there, and Lucas losing 1. So I think that early pit stop strategy that Stephen had done, and he did it earlier in the European, and once again, he had that rehearsal, so he learnt what happened before in the race, has paid off. Because you saw that the pit stops, it paid off. I think the man that could challenge him, the man could have beaten him today, is Lucas, and unfortunately for Lucas, Stevie just nailed the right strategy.
Oh,
And he's also
coming
got
out
the
of pit
pace
lane.
too. Yeah, okay. That's cold tires, warm heart moment here.
No, it's actually the overtake from Jacob Zuccarelli on Eric Harmon. But Eric Harmon out by the pit lane, so not a lot that he really could do there. I thought that overtake was a bit more spectacular. But,
So Chris Karsek is the only one that has to get in the pit road right now in a minute. 1 minute. He's the only one that has to take, the car 53. He's having those moments, and that's probably not the best time to take a moment as well, too, as we mentioned. Now he's got 54 seconds to get in the pit road. Well, where is he? Down the back straight,
he's gonna have
heading
to
into
go this
sunset.
lap.
He has to get in the pit road right now, otherwise that'll be a penalty. He should have enough time, 44 seconds. I hope he's
But
aware
do you
of
have
that
to
one.
exit pit lane 2 within that time? Is it
Yep.
pit exit
He
that closes,
goes-
or
he's
just
gotta-
pit entry?
Going in. There it is. He gets it in time. Bang, yeah. Oh, 31 seconds to change. That's the second time, as I said today, that somebody took it to the absolute limit
Yeah.
of a punishment from being penalised or not. And good on you, Charles. I was so glad you got in there in time, mate. I don't want to see any driver disqualified from a race.
It's not how you want to see a race being decided. However, how we do want to see a race being decided, Biggles, is by a battle on the last lap. Lucas Vieira in second place, 6.7 seconds back on Stephen Place at the front of the field. Arturos Kundelis behind that, 29 second. Here he is a little bit further back. James is already 9.7 seconds back of that. But he has the chasing Eric Harmon behind him, so he's going to try and chase him down. Richard Horn, though, he has now gone past start finish, and he is into 6. So many drivers, P3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, staying where they are in qualifying. Basically, the only switches we've seen so far is for the lead.
Well, and don't forget about Scotty here, Marzi. Scotty Callahan.
Yeah. He's done really well.
We're not 100% sure about the situation, whether there's penalties or whatever, but he's fought his way back, believe it or not, to P8. You gotta remember, this is a strange driver that didn't set a time or 7 qualify. Started last place. Had a massive gain at the start. We believe it was some sort of penalty here, so for possibly a jump start. Fought his way back. He's been in the wars a couple of times. Fought his way back. And currently at the moment in P8 getting 4 positions still. So I'd be very, very happy with that, mate. I am a proud Australian if you get that result done, living for the rest of the race. We'll see at the moment, but I don't think anything Lucas can do about Stephen Places. Because now Stephen Places, it may be about half a second sometimes a lap slower, but there's not enough time. 8 minutes to change to go.
That is what's left in this race. About 8.5 minutes to go, a little bit less. And the gaps at the front are ever closing. Lucas Vieira 6 seconds up front. It's not enough. He's not doing enough at the moment. He's gonna get close, but he's gonna rely on a mistake from Stephen Place to take place. There we go. Take that punt.
Now you're getting those punts going there, Dan. Yeah.
Also,
the battle brewing up between Diego Rivera and Eric Hartmann. So they've done enough to their pit stops for the last time. That's 26 and 617 machine. That's crucial. I think Lucas, if anything, I would know, knowing you're leading the championship at the moment, I would just settle for a P2. That's good points anyway, and take it at heart like that. It's not too much you could do if 6 seconds and change down the road when they're practically balanced now on lap times. But Eric has an opportunity. That's the thing. Eric doesn't have to think about anything. He doesn't think about 6 seconds. He has to think about 8,000ths of a second to the man up the road.
Remember, every Winkleface, welcome into YouTube chat too. You join us for the closing stages of the Radical SR8 America's World Series. Once again, the 90-minute race here. We've had about 78 or 78, 83 minutes of those 90 already. And we're into the last 7 minutes now. The gap between P1 and P2, 6 seconds at the moment. The gap between Zuccarelli and Hardeman, 0.7 of a second after about, well, 8 hours, or 8 hours.
You're thinking about
minutes of racing. Yeah, I was thinking about hours instead of minutes for some reason. But
No, you're thinking about the endurance race that we did earlier this week, my friend. That's probably the reason why. That was about 6. But yeah, I told you this at the start of the hour, didn't I, Dan? During the European version early today, obviously watched that one back there on JP Broadcasting Network. It came down to the wire between drivers. And once again, we're seeing the similar situation. Doesn't matter. You can put these radical motorsport racing drivers anywhere in the world, anytime, any place, and they're still going to find a way of being within a second of each other in the dying stages of race.
Well, that's just the strategy playing out. Strategy just comes together, and some drivers are on different strategies, so for most of the race they are far apart. But then when it comes to the end, it plays out that the strategies are actually pretty similar in terms of how much time they have to spend in pit lane, and they get together at the end of their strategy. When the strategy plays out and everyone makes their last pit stop, that's what has definitely happened to Jacob Zuccarelli and Eric Harman here. Eric Harman, however, in P5 is dropping back a little on Zuccarelli. Zuccarelli, I think, is managing this gap a bit. Now, if you were Zuccarelli, would you want to get away here, or will you try and work together with Harman? Nothing really to work together for, but just want to know your opinion. Also, 5.1 seconds now for Vieira.
Yeah, he just had a fast. I think Vieira wants to try to steal a fast lap here to get an extra point or so. It's a 53.73. Then again, if I was Steve in place at the moment, I wouldn't be pushing it too much, because I did see in the European race earlier that somebody had pushed it a little bit too much. I think it was Mark and actually hit the fence somewhere in the dying stages of the race. So that's got to be in the back of your mind. As an engineer, I'd be like, Stevie, okay, you can back off a little bit. It's all right, back it off. You got gap, you got time. And don't drive like me, Stevie, otherwise you'll be 10 seconds a lap slower. Just you can afford to lose half a second a lap. It's okay, because what's more important is that you're going to be still crossing the line first, rather than pushing it too much, making a little mistake, and then throwing away a fantastic race win that's well deserved and coming your way. You can hold on for 4 minutes and change.
Well, you lost about 0.6 on the last lap. That is still, however, within the margin that he has. So those 0.6 are still within the margin that he has to time back to Lucas Vieira. We're into the last 4 minutes of this race right about now, and Lucas Vieira has done everything he needed to do.
It's got to clear traffic too.
Really take here.
It's got to clear traffic with a very dinged up machine up the road there too. Is that Scotty's machine that's dinged up? It is. Scotty running in P8. He's 4 positions gained there, of course. But I think Scotty's going to want to hold him up too much here. We've heard about James's blue flag rules in the past, right? And trust me, if you haven't tuned into JPB Broadcasting in the network before, you've not heard James's views on the blue flag situation. But right now, still the battle's brewing, of course, for the potential P4 position. Can Diego hold off this man on your pitches for essentially maybe 2 to 3 laps at best? Could he set a late dive bomb there, Dan? And also, you have to remember, risking it for the biscuit, my friend. How many points potentially are you going to be losing? If you get the overtake done, yeah, you gain a couple of points. But if you get it all wrong, you're just throwing away a P5.
Oh, yeah, so he's going to have to watch out. And like we said last time out at Zandvoort too, championships are not won by being quick, Biggles. Championships are won by being consistent, being there, even on your bad days, making it look like it was a good day. Well, that's definitely what Harman has done so far, but someone who has done that even better is Stephen Place. He's been up there. Lucas Vieira is not going to be a 2-time winner in this series as far as Stephen Place is concerned. Has to keep it on track though for 2.5 minutes. Good snap for Eric Harman. I think 2 laps left here for the leaders, and then we will have the checkered flag. So 1 lap for the white flag, and then 1 lap after for the checkered flag as per normal.
How bumpy it is. Mate, it's like Martin Brunner would say. I said this earlier as well too. It's like, you know, I mean, okay, you don't have 50p coins, right, in the UK, but sorry, in Europe, but we have them in Australia. Just imagine, like, you know, the coin that's like got square edges, or so I can't remember, hexagons, octagons, whatever.
Yeah.
Put it that way. You know, it's like you're flat spotting your tire, and it's bumping up and down like crazy. That's what it feels like when you go through that bumpy section, doesn't it? Rattling all the fillings out of your teeth. And of course, as it's lifting the car up as well too, which means that those tires are not really touching the right important parts of the tarmac. So you can easily slip it up there.
Down no matter what. Slow you down no matter what, because braking performance will be down. You will be shaking your teeth out on the straight. So yeah, performance will be lost, and with that shaking, less contact with the tarmac through the corners too. So yeah, it just a flat spot just not only makes it undrivable, but it also is going to cost you loads and loads of time.
I wonder if there's going to be a carbon copy there, Dan, because I saw a race across the line earlier, and you get tuned into that one. Of course, it's there here on YouTube. It's available. It's available probably as well too on the Radical channel. So multiple places, multiple times to watch the multiple action. And they had a race across the line on the dying stage of this race. It could even be a situation right here between Diego and Eric, as you see in your pictures. So that's close, and all about a great exit out of the final couple of turns could make that happen. I know at the moment Eric Harman's thinking about that in the back of his mind, in that cockpit, in that helmet that he has.
White flag.
Yep, last lap, so Steve has to hold off. You can see Lucas is shaved into that one, but once again, we said it's got to be very difficult for him to shave someone. And I think it's very clever there from Steven just to settle it back a little bit, lose a little bit of time, and just
you told him to do.
Get it home. Yeah.
He did what
Bring
you
it
told
home.
him to do, Biggles. Just bring it home. Don't do any crazy things, basically. And well, here he is, our leader. Steven plays out in front. The strategy is what got him there. He tried it in the Europe once, got a good podium, or podium, top 10 finish there too. And he's been quick here in the Radical SR8 America's World Series too. He's done well, and once again, we're gonna have a new driver on the top step of the podium. Steven plays only sunset corner to go now. It's almost completely dark. The background, you can see Lucas Vieira, but it's not gonna be enough for him, because Steven Place is going to round the last corner and come across the line to take victory number 1 of the season for him. And he kicks it off in style. And well, a well-deserved victory for Steven Place. Also a very well-deserved second place for Lucas Vieira. Maybe deserved even more than that. But you can't take anything away from the strategy that Steven Place chooses. We see, I think, Lucas Vieira going off. That is together with Scott Callaghan. And don't you worry, this is not what the drivers usually do. This is after the checkered flag. And you know, it's been an incredible race here, Biggles, and wow, just wow.
Yeah, and we still have to wait quite a bit of time actually for our Lithuanian driver that's going to be eventually crossing the line right now. At the moment, a little bit lonely race for him, but sometimes I say a lonely race is a good race in a motorsport. So there it is. The battle that had brewed there between Diego Zuccarelli and Eric Harman had eventually gone to the Canadian driver. So great day there from Canada. Of course, one driver in P1 with Stevie, and then Diego finishes in P4. Just unfortunately, the only other driver had retired. That was Rich Price, the other Canadian driver. But yeah, so it goes to Canada, Brazil, and Lithuania. When's the last time you've seen a podium celebration with those nationalities?
Oh, a long time ago. But yeah, definitely one that the drivers can be proud of. Arturus Daly's once again up there on the podium. And, you know, that's where you want to be. You want to be consistent. Lucas Vieira too. Plays good race for him. Here he comes across the line. Diego Schneider across the line. And that is everyone who has finished this race. Let's take a look at the race results then. It is going to be Steven Place who's won this race ahead of Lucas Vieira in second, Arturus Condelis in third, Diego Zuccarelli in P4, Eric Harman P5, sixth Richard Horn, Diego Schneider P7, Scott Callaghan, a good comeback drive from him, up 4 positions in P8, Manuel Solorzano in P9, Joel Jacqueline in P10, P11 for Charles Crossage, and Rich Price in P12. All in all, not a bad evening. And we have one of our drivers into the commentary booth now. The man who finished second this week. One step down on the podium, Dan, or compared to last week. Lucas, welcome.
Hey Dan, how's it going? Yeah, you make some mistakes this week, and it's all learning. Yeah, we always learning with some strategies, and it is what it is. But I'm happy with the results. Congrats for Steven. He was a better driver, better strategy today. So all merits for him.
Where do you think, Lucas, you could have done better, maybe, in your strategy? Because it seems like that's really where Steven has won this race.
Yeah, because I think I have some calculators wrong, and each liter of fuel that you put in the car is 1 second you lose on the pits, and I put like 3 liters over fuel, 3 liters. So this was the 3 seconds that I lose. They probably will be fighting for Stevie on the end. And
yeah, Lucas, did you get a chance to watch the European one earlier? Because that's what I was talking about during the broadcast. Because there was very late pit stops with a splash and dash, not even splash and dash actually, but a very late pit stop.
Yeah, that was a mistake. Yeah, also because I let 1 liter and I lose another second. It was in stop and go. I have to wait a bit to start to fuel.
We saw that. I thought that was your opportunity to actually get past Stevie at that point, because we know Stevie had to take a little bit longer. We'll talk to Stevie in a second. But I thought if you could get in and out in a millisecond, you might not have still even beaten him, but that would have been close.
Yeah, it would be close. Yes, for sure.
Well, Stephen, I think still not an unsuccessful start of the season. Of course, with a win last time out at Zandvoort. Now, once again, good points here in the endurance race at Sebring. After such a good start of the season, I can't deny the fact that I have you as one of the main title contenders.
I hope so. Thank you.
And I believe you also got the fastest lap too, so probably a little more points coming your way on that one. Yeah, 53.41. There it is.
Fastest lap of the race too for Lucas. Well, Lucas, all in all, I think an evening not to be sad about, to be mad about. A good evening of racing. Just strategy maybe next time. That needs to be refined. But all in all, I think good evening of racing for you.
Yeah, thank you. I would like to appreciate the job you guys are doing. It's amazing to watch the broadcast later. So all merits for you too, guys.
Thank you, Lucas. That was Lucas, of course, man who finished second this evening. And let's bring in the man who, well, he did it all in the end. Didn't look like at the beginning he had the pace to keep up with Lucas Vieira, but in the end, strategy was what did it for him. Stephen Place, welcome into the booth.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much.
Stephen, tell us about your strategy, because clearly it has worked out.
Yeah, use the good old-fashioned don't get tires, full tanks, and it paid off. I was hoping Lucas would feel short, and he ended up, I believe, doing that pace he was running. I was just hoping that he was running less fuel.
Yeah, well, what did you think when you saw, of course, in the end, Lucas catching up by about half a second, 8/10 a lap? Did you know you had him covered, or did you have to push for it?
Yeah, I knew I had him covered as long as I didn't make a mistake. He would pull it. He'd get a 10th here and there, but overall, if I just didn't make a mistake, I was good. And near the end, I started making a little mistake here and there, but yeah, it was good. That's my first win on one of these telecasts. I've been working at it, so quite pleased. It's been a long month of Sebring, I'll tell you, running for the 12 hours and SR10, SR8. I've done more laps here probably than, so.
Well, Stevie, you did it earlier today. I was talking to Dan about that. You're the only driver in the grid that was in both the Americas and the European. You did a similar strategy tonight. than you did earlier, and which was offset to everybody else. And I was saying to Dan, like, hey, you've had your dress rehearsal, right? And now this is the second time as a showdown. And I thought, this could pay off because you've got the advantage, of course, of that other 90 minutes that you did earlier. And it paid off, didn't it, Steve?
You hit the nail on the head. My first race today, I pitted with 20 liters still left and threw in another 21 liters and ran semi-heavy. This time I ran it right out, and I think that was the difference of me running those fast laps on low tanks was the difference to win tonight.
Yeah, it was close, wasn't it? And especially with because you saw that earlier, and once again, we say tune into that one in the European division, which maybe some of the drivers should have been tuning into that race earlier to see how that strategy had panned off. That I knew that you had to take a little bit more time and fuel. You didn't take tires actually in that last pit stop, but you had to take some fuel. And I was wondering if Lucas could just take a splash and dash, just stop on your pit. Not even a splash and dash, stop on your pit stop and then just go like they did in the European ones. But he had to take it, as you just mentioned before in the interview. And at that point, you're like smiles all around. You had it in the bag on that one, and that's it. You perfected that strategy from earlier today because you also. Just to relate to everybody, what position did you finish against, Stevie, in the European?
I got pipped by my teammate in 6th position.
6, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I told you Danny was in the top 10. Okay.
Yeah,
Hey, they will.
Europeans are strong. I'll tell you, they're a strong bunch.
We had 8K I rating drivers in that field as well too. And of course, Lucas is a 6.6K. You're a 4.3. That's no slouch, of course, my friend. But some people say I rating doesn't mean anything if you can win races all the time.
Yeah, it's just getting race experience. That's all. When it really comes down to it, it's just lack of mistakes. But I want to shout out to Lucas because, Lucas, for many years has always been someone I've always looked at as one of the fast guys, and just even to remotely stay with him is such accomplishment. But shout out to Lucas because he's a really good guy. Thank you.
In place or winner, of course, here this evening in its endurance race in the Radical SR8 Americas. Well, Biggles, give me one quick sentence to sum up this evening.
No. James does that. You can't steal that away from James. Okay, I'll give you. You want it, Dan, or you asked for it? Do not crash in pit entrance. No, I can't summarize this race. What I can summarize this race with, pit strategy.
Well, it definitely. It's been such a big part of this evening's race, and it's where eventually, for our winner of this race was one Stephen Place ahead of Lucas Vieira and Arthur Condelis. Once again, your top three. Thank you all once again for watching. Thank you, Biggles, for being alongside me in the commentary. Thank you to everyone, of course, for
hey, CJ,
possible.
Our spectator of the day out there, obviously. Thank you very much, CJ. And don't forget, guys, 842 subscribers. Real quick, Dan, you can wrap this one up. 842 subscribers. Just to let everybody know that our famous boss man, James himself, that runs this broadcasting network, that has brought us here together, has promised us if we reach 1K before May the 20-something, I believe it is there, Dan, he's going to start doing some food podcasts or at least adventure podcasts of his Spanish holiday that'll be coming up in the future. So let's do it. We want to see that, don't we, Dan? So hit that like and subscribe button, please, so that we... James doesn't believe it's going to happen, but Dan, I believe it's going to happen.
Oh, well, if that's the challenge, well, I'm going to get some fake accounts and right. Who doesn't want to see that happen? But yeah, it's been an incredible evening of racing, Biggles. Thank you for you being alongside me in the commentary booth. Of course, thank you everyone for being in chat, being so active. CJ, of course, thank you for being in never-ending Winkle face. Thank you for being in the chat too, and everyone else who I might have missed. Of course, Biggles, who's always first in chat. Thank you once again, and of course to everyone who made it possible. To all our sponsors, of course, and well, just like last week, it was amazing to have you here. See you next time out, of course. Till then, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Got it!
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start chopper. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's gonna do it! Big Barry!